How's it going? Um, I'm gonna do this live. I think I'm gonna probably have to do a part two to the live. This live is about Kevin Samuels. Um, he's a dating. He calls himself a dating consultant. I don't believe he calls himself a coach or a therapist or even an expert, but he has gained a lot of fame and a lot of traction online because he did a video where he basically did a live stream interview with a sister who called herself a 10, but he called her basically a 6. And that caused a lot of controversy. So I took some notes, as I usually do, on things that I find interesting. And I have a video coming up on Tuesday about Tiny and Ti and a lot of things regarding um, celebrities. So stay tuned for that. I will do a better job of promoting that. I was supposed to do this live stream yesterday, but I had a unfortunate personal incident that I had to take care of, and it kind of threw me off in terms of giving a live stream. So that's the long and short of that. This video probably won't be too long. It's gonna be at least 10 minutes because there's a lot to talk about, but I don't want to overtalk. So anyway, let me also say the thing about Kevin Samuels. I feel like I've met this brother before, but I'm not sure because I used to do relationship uh, events like 15 years ago, 20 years, almost 20 years ago. Well, coming up on that. Oh, yeah, about 20 years ago, I started in 2001. And also, I've written a book called Dating Games A Brother Speaks Up, which talks about dating and relationship games that we play as men. And the things that my mother experienced as a single mom. And, I've been very interested in relationships ever since. I did a series of workshops started in 2001, actually, a 9-part series on dating and relationships set. I thought it was pretty good, and I based it on the 7 principles of my art. And the 7 principles of my art are truth, justice, order, balance, harmony, reciprocity, propriety. I think I covered it all. 7 points. And the Egyptians or the Commentans believed if you had all of those features in your relationship and in your life, you would lead a good life. So that's what I base even my company on, the My Art series. So I have one person watching, which is great. So let me get right into it. We're talking about Kevin Samuels, the dating consultant, and I want to start off with the negatives I see about the brother, and then go into some of the positives. I kind of want to change how we look at things in terms of negative, positive, and how we try to evaluate certain information and individuals, particularly those that come from our community. So I'm going to start with the negatives. The negatives on Kevin Samuels, I feel, you got petty bourgeois values, you know, and rating scales, which back up how superficial the world is. So what does that mean? That means basically we are judging people based on the current state of the culture and the world, which tend to be bourgeois, you know, middle, upper class, not really based on things that are real or legit or really of value. And when you do that, it really just shows how superficial the world is. This brother has a rating scale. He talks about high value men and women, and basically, those values aren't really African centered. They aren't really, um, you know, the reality of who we are. They're always based on economics, status, and so on and so forth. I haven't really heard him go into what is a the quality of a man in terms of his character, in terms of other things that make a man what a man is, a real man. He really start off talking about how much money he makes and the social and economic position he has. So I find that to be off. And then he also has a rating scale on women that I feel isn't always realistic or healthy. And he basically shows how the women looks, talks about how the women look, and he rates them accordingly and says, "You're not going to get this because you look like this. You're not going to find a man that gets a man. You're not going to get a man because you look like that, and you're not a 10." So the values aren't African centered, and I'll talk about African centered values later. Okay, so also a big negative I would say is education. Kevin Samuels doesn't address relationship literacy fully as it relates to our history and culture. He basically goes off body types, he goes off the physical, he goes off the economic, he goes off the social, um, societal standards. And unfortunately, I even heard a video where he said that black women aren't attractive, that they make certain looks that make them less attractive. Now, he said this about 3 years ago, and I don't know if he officially recanted or not, but he made a really bad value judgment about black women. And I think that's unhealthy. So now the question, I have a series of questions. What is a high value man or woman in our context? He doesn't present himself now. While he doesn't present himself as a relationship expert um, or therapist or even dating coach, he calls himself a consultant who's been married twice. He's now more of a brand than anything, and the commodification of relationships is now the problem. You commodify relationships. You basically make relationships about your brand, and you know that you'll present certain topics and people will be interested and watch your videos. And the more people that watch the videos, the more you get paid. So it's all a big game, Facebook, social media is all a game that people aren't really trying to. I think people are trying to help people online, but a lot of times it's also tied to making money, you know. So I think those are things that we have to talk about. And then Facebook, social media will, including YouTube, it's about fleecing you. It's about finessing you for money and for views and all the rest of that. And I'm going to do a video about that as well. So these are all issues where some of his things I think could be kind of dangerous. Okay, so that's on the negatives. Okay, so now the positive. The positives about Kevin Samuels. He presents legitimate points about accountability with women. What is a quality? He talks about some of the qualities of men, which are good, um, which I think are really good. Um, he talks about accountability of women and the hypocrisy that too many black women present themselves with. There's some hypocrisy with some or too many black women. I'm not going to say all, I'm not going to say too most. But a lot of times black women present themselves as the victims and that they don't play a role in who they choose to be with or choose to stay with. And this needs to really change. It takes two to tango still. Um, and this isn't to blame women, but it is to acknowledge that you have to make better choices in men. Okay, I would say oftentimes, positive of his show, if you watch long enough, you'll see that a lot of times the women that you may think that he's coming down on eventually end up agreeing with him. Basically, they'll see the points that he's making because they'll be pulling out their own hypocrisies. And we all have hypocrisies, men and women. Another positive, he speaks plain and to the point, which helps move past the typical black men and women ain't shit, excuse my language, ain't crap that we hear. So he speaks in language that helps us kind of move to kind of change the discussion. He also speaks the truth about black women dying alone, too many black women dying alone, including my mom, which I'll talk about at a later time with another video, I should say. If you can take some of the truth from this BS or brand from his BS and or brand, there are some useful insights. So I want to say in conclusion, there's even the reason there's even a Kevin Samuels who's a former, he actually started off as a men's styling consultant, is because he's developed a following based on his previous history of being a men's styling consultant. And he made uh, a somewhat controversial video about a delusional, I'll put that in quote, a delusional black woman that stuck with many women, that struck with many women and men, but good and bad and even more black men, you know. So he did that video that really brought him to prominence. And to such an extent that he's a brand associated with dating and relationships. And this is only possible because we have a community that's not dedicated to relationship literacy. I'm going to put a description as I put on my community board. Um, the books that you should read to become more relationship literate. It's unfortunate that we don't take classes and that we aren't prepared and we can't develop interpersonal relationships as we grow up. Like the school system is set up for us to wear condoms. The system is set up, the educational system, miseducation system, is set up for us to have sex education, physical education, driver's education. We even had to learn how to swim in order to graduate from high school. Uh, but there's no emphasis on how to develop interpersonal relationships, and it should be. And the reason why we are in the situation we're in, and a lot of times with these relationships, is because we are not literate. We don't choose the right person. We are not the right person, and we don't develop to become the right person. So when you have all of these factors involved, not knowing how to choose, not being the right person, not having a whole community where you don't have a mother and father, and or you don't see healthy relationships, you're going to have relationship dysfunction throughout the community. And if you learn how to market and brand yourself like Kevin Samuels has done, you can develop a big following based on the ignorance of our people, of people in general, but our people specifically. Ignorance meaning lack of knowledge. So we have to be able to build a knowledge base in order to be involved and to start a healthy relationship. And until we do this, this guy's gonna get richer and richer. And I would say overall, 50-50, his advice. Not totally bad, not totally always on point, but I think he's worth a view. He's worth a listen to. So, in conclusion, man, you got to do your own research. I would recommend books like, there's books by Ken Keyes. One is called Unconditional Love. That's Ken Keyes, Keyes. There's also a book that he did called Handbook to Higher Consciousness. That's also very good. There's a book by, any book by Iyanla Vanzant is really good. But there's a book by Iyanla. Hey, Miss Lakers, how you doing? You caught me at the tail end here. There's also a book by, any book by Iyanla Vanzant, but Until Today, Daily Meditations for People of Color, and also One Day My Soul Opened Up. This is a great book. And there's also a really good book called An Afrocentric Guide to a Spiritual Union by Raoul Amen Nefer. I will list that in the chat or in the description and on the community board. But, that's pretty much the conclusion of my live stream. And I'd like to thank you, Miss Lakers. You coming in a little bit late. I basically laid out the positives and negatives of Kevin Samuels. I think he speaks some truth. I think he can be entertaining. I think that you can get something from him, but I feel like his rating scales, what he calls a high value man, and to rate women based on their physical appearance isn't always healthy or right. I wouldn't say that he's all negative though, because he does speak some truth. And I say that because if you watch his videos, a lot of his videos all the way through, he'll end up the woman that he's talking about or critiquing or evaluating actually ends up agreeing with him. And you can tell it's not an edit or anything like that. Um, but at the end of the day, whether you want to think he's positive or negative, I think at the end of the day that we have to do our own development in terms of relationship literacy. Becoming literate in relationships. I don't know why people think that we're supposed to be naturally ready for relationships or naturally involved in relationships. If we haven't had any training, if we don't have any knowledge, a lot of us don't grow up seeing healthy relationships. We don't grow up seeing uh, our mother and father in healthy relationships. We also don't see that in the community or in the culture. So I think that it's important for us to learn, grow, and develop, and to keep learning, growing, develop. And because we don't do this, people like Kevin Samuels have a vacuum to come in and finesse people for views, which turn into money. I believe he also has a practice as well. Now, if we want to go with Kevin Samuels is negative, and he's profiting off of the dating dramas and traumas that we have. On the other hand, we have to talk about Iyanla Vanzant, which many and myself consider positive. She also has learned, even before she had a social media following and the Fix My Life show, she had a following because of her books and because of her speaking engagement. So I would say, and not just because she's a black woman, but I would say I would rather take my relationships and dating advice off of Iyanla Vanzant than I would off of Kevin Samuels. Not because of anything else, but she seems to have more of a spiritual and cultural base to her than Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels really doesn't have that. I think he's probably best at pointing out some of the um, hypocrisies of some women. Because black women have, um, their hypocrisy. So do we, and that's good. That's good, Miss Lakers. You say, yeah. I come from kind of a mixed bag. I have an aunt and uncle that have been married. I believe they're coming up on 74, 75 years. Believe it or not. My aunt is 91 and my uncle is 92. So they've been married since they're teens. And so, anyway, if you're around that all the time and you're around generations of positive and healthy relationships, you could still use some relationship and dating knowledge. You can still read. You still should read. You still should talk to your healthy family members that are in healthy relationships. Very true. Um, but I would say that overall, most of all, Kevin Samuels is entertainment. If you want to talk to somebody, if you want to get knowledge off of someone, definitely watch Iyanla Vanzant. Watch Iyanla Vanzant or Dr. Wayne Dyer because he's passed away. But underneath dating and relationships is spirituality, is culture, meaning cultivated behaviors. So I would say, I guess, in another conclusion, that Kevin Samuels is more like entertainment than anything else. And for those of you that will be watching this, or just started watching, I don't have too many people watching right now. But if you watch this on the replay, just go back to some of the things that I said because I've talked about his positives and his negatives. Anyway, reading the comments, you get yours from the Bible. Oh, okay, that's good. That's why I say that at the end of the day, you need to see it in people around you, and hopefully they're talking to you. But also, I mentioned spiritual. It really comes down to a spiritual base. So that's very important. But even in entertainment, you can learn something. So I'm not gonna say that he's just totally negative, because if you listen close enough and you listen for the right things, some truth does come out. But anybody that's primarily entertainment, you can say only entertainment if you wish, but I would say primarily entertainment. You got to take it as that. And hopefully you are around healthy relationships, or that you put yourself around healthy people in healthy relationships, or healthier people in healthy relationships, because relationships can't always be healthy. So anyway, I'd like to thank you, Miss Laker, and everybody else. There's somebody else that watched, and people that will be watching this on the replay. I will be doing more videos. I'm doing a video on Tuesday about Tiny and Ti and some of the things we see in the culture. I will probably be doing just making videos and posting them as well. I'm just now learning the technology of all this, so I'm still doing that. I've been working very hard. I've been, as I said in my last video, I've been working with a black family in the Dominican Republic that's really struggling, and single mom, which she was a single mom that kind of reminds me of my own mom with two children. I had a little falling out with her yesterday that kind of threw off my live stream. But okay, so let me see. Okay. So yeah, I mentioned that he's been married twice, and I don't know his dating status now, honestly. And I did say, because I started off with the negative, he said some negative things about black women as well in terms of them not being attractive or making or presenting themselves in unattractive ways. He said that about 3 years ago. So, but you don't have to be in a help. To me, you don't have to be in a healthy relationship or marriage to speak the truth, to bring out the truth. But it certainly helps. So I feel you what you're saying, sis. I feel you all the way. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, But there's positives and negatives, and I don't know if one outweighs the other. But at the end of the day, if it's just entertainment, you have to take it as just entertainment. He finesses people for views because he plays everybody. I don't want to say everybody. A lot of people, well, maybe we could say most people, they want a healthy relationship. So you bring up a topic that plays on people's emotion. You gain a big following, and then you will get a lot of views. And a lot of views on Facebook turns into money. Now, I need to do, I guess, more research on him. I did do some. I don't know if he has a practicing business. But anybody can be a relationship or dating consultant. In fact, shoot, I'm one. But I do have a BSW and I do have experience. You know what I'm saying? And Steve Harvey. Let me see if I can get all this. Okay. Steve Harvey also, he's another one that's had I don't know, he seems to have more even a shakier. He had a shakier marriage history and I guess dating history than Kevin Samuels. At least it's been put out in public. And the thing about, I think, both of them is that they hit on some kind of emotional, commonsensical points. But like you say, whether you believe in the Bible or whether you believe in whatever you believe in spiritually, there has to be, to me, there has to be a spiritual component to your dating relationship stuff. In spirit, it doesn't have to mean that it's Jesus or Allah or Muhammad, but there has to be something deeper that ties a man and woman together, than just the physical, than just the money, than just the children, than just the house. There has to be something deeper. So, I feel like you can use any spiritual book to build yourself. But, okay, again, let me go back to my recommendation. The books that I would say. Ken Keyes, that's Keyes. He has a book called Unconditional Love, which is really good. He has another book called Handbook to Higher Consciousness. Good. Deanna Van Zandt, which isn't, she has several books, but I would definitely recommend One Day My Soul Opened Up, because this book helps you develop personally over 40 days. And I also started out reading her books, Until Today, Daily Meditations for People of Color. Also, let me add, A Course in Miracles is a really good book. Whether you're a Christian or not, that's a really good book. The other book that I would say is supreme, on top of maybe all of them, is An Afrocentric Guide to a Spiritual Union. And then by Ra'un Amen Nefer. But I would say overall, read as many books as you can about dating and relationships, personal growth and development. Also, try to surround yourself around people that are in healthy relationships and people that have wisdom. Even widows and widowers who are in healthy relationships and marriages. Very important. So the reason that there is a Kevin Samuels is because there is a lot of dating and relationship dysfunction. And because a lot of people want to be involved in a healthy dating marriage relationship. I know I'm one, and I'm single, which is a whole nother story. I've also written a book that I'm going to work on revising and updating called Dating Games The Brother Speaks Up. So anyway, again, I'd like to thank Miss Laker and everybody that's watched this video and that will watch the video. Take Kevin Samuels as entertainment. Take what you can positive out of what he says. And, you know, realize it's entertainment at the end of the day. Yes. And also, to honor the vows, make the vows real when you get married. And also, let me say, one of the main purposes of a relationship is to grow as a person, grow within the relationship, build the relationship. And the only commitment or the main commitment to each other is to grow. And when one person stops growing and they don't check themselves and keep growing, the relationship usually goes downhill. You know, there's more people that are more interested in um, the ceremony than anything else. And I don't know Miss Laker and others that are watching this or will watch this, but I did a video how I was scammed by African girl last year who I was talking to for a while, supposed to meet, sending money to like an idiot. And anyway, longer story short, Corona hit, wasn't able to go travel. I really think she did have feelings for me, but she ended up marrying someone else while she was still asking for rent money. And this happened like in November, I guess. And so I'm in my feelings. I have some feelings about that a little bit, but I'll talk about that more at another time. Anyway, I'm a big fan of the black woman, and I will always hold you down and represent you. My mom was in a unhealthy marriage for the last 21 years of her life. This will mark the 15th year that she's passed away, and she died of a broken heart. Loving a man that didn't even love himself, loving a man that left her the weekend before she passed away. And after he left, she had to go into the hospital for which she thought was gallstones, but it was actually part of her intestines had fallen into her bloodstream. Don't ask me how that happened, but I spoke to her on a Wednesday and she passed away on a Thursday. This is around April 27th, 2006. And I wrote a book. I was already writing a book about dating relationships in my life. And the first part of the book, she actually helped to edit. And she wanted her story told. So that is a whole nother reason why I'm interested in dating and relationships and marriage because of what happened to my own mother. You know, so it's kind of deep when that happens. But, you know, the man that she married didn't even love himself. He just passed away, I believe, earlier this year or was it last year? And he had dementia. He couldn't control his bowels. He was nearly blind, or he was blind, and he really suffered the last few years of his life. You know, and I'm not saying karma. I'm not saying it's right, but things happen. You know, he messed up a really good woman. Thank you, thank you. So I have a lot of passions about relationships and dating and marriage. And, you know, I started off, when I started off really on this path, I guess it was 99. Um, it was because I wasn't in a relationship, you know, and because I saw all the relationships around me. I'm still single, but I see, you know, in our community, there's a lot of unhealthy relationships. And so I'm very passionate about this subject. And I'm very a big supporter of black women. So I want y'all to know that. So if I tell you that I agree with Kevin Samuels on certain points or that I see the hypocrisies of some black women and the contradictions, understand that's not an attack on you. I saw contradictions in my own mom. Like she, you know, she should have left that man, you know. Even to the last day, she was wondering, like, he wasn't answering the phone when she was calling him, and she was wondering, why doesn't he answer the call? Why isn't he here? And he was in another part of the country, you know. And so it's a very touching subject for me. So I just want you to understand that I'm always down for y'all, but I'm gonna call it like I see it, and I want us to be in healthy relationships for ourselves, for our children's, for our children's children. You know. So anyway, thank you for watching. I love all of you guys. I'm on 30 minutes now. Please help me build this channel. I've been at 1900 I've been at around 1900. I think I'm at 1907 now. For like a couple months now. Facebook banned me. I should do a video on that for 30 days because I called a white man. I basically replied to a white man. I said that he made a snowflakeish comment, and they banned me for 30 days. And so when that happened, I was not able to really build the channel. I've been building a lot of it through Facebook. Now I have over 20,000 followers, or people that follow my page on Facebook. I have almost 10,000 friends on 2 Facebook pages. I have nearly 2,300 people on Instagram, and I don't have too many. Yeah, I don't have too many people on Twitter. But yeah, I was thinking about hiding my subscribers. I'm debating whether I'm going to do that or not. 1900 is still that's not too bad. But I'm trying to get to 2,000, so maybe Miss Lakers and others and Shay, others, y'all can help me build my channel. Just tell people, I post community on the community board every morning. I post Mornings with Moomba, which is inspirational sayings every morning on my community board. I also post this with the hashtag Dear Black People. So when you're done with this video, go to my community board. I have a lot of tidbits of jewels of information and inspiration on that as well. My page is not monetized, and I'm not, even when I get the watch hours, I'm not gonna be sitting up here like, I'm not really trying to make YouTube money. I have a Patreon, I have a Cash App, I have a GoFundMe and all that, and maybe I'll put that in the description. But that's not what it's about for me. Not that I wouldn't like to make money giving out information, which I think is fair, but I'm not here to make YouTube money. I'm not here to, finesse people for money, which a lot of people do. They'll raise these topics and like just for views, and I'm here just to serve and to give information. You know what I'm saying? So understand that. So please help me build this channel. Even if I do hide my numbers, like I say, I'm almost at 2,000. I still want to help you guys. I want you guys to help me build the channel. So tell your friends, check my community board. I have music. I have funny videos. I have inspirational things I say on my community board, and I'm here. Also, let me say that I know that, like, I probably should be like this way with the video. But around last year this time, I had a house fire, and I've been in hotels ever since. I lived in 2 hotels. I'm now in what they call a SRO, which is single room occupancy, while I am still trying to find a place. So my location isn't that big, so I do what I can. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do videos through my laptop. I have done videos on my laptop before, but I figured I would do it this way just because time just rushed up on me and I ran out of time. So anyway, I see I got 3 viewers right now. I guess I can keep this stream going for people that want to watch. I'll do a quick review of basically what I said, with Kevin Samuels. So basically what I've said about Kevin Samuels, he has positives and negatives, and I felt like the negatives are his rating system. He rates women based on their looks. He also has this thing called a high value man, which he bases this off of what a man does, his occupation, how much money he makes, and how he's going to judge a woman. I'm assuming he's talking mostly about black women. Okay, cool. So he also has this evaluation system on black women on how they look. And a lot of you know that he started out by giving a black woman a 6 um, on a scale of 10, when she gave herself a 10. And that video was controversial, and it turned out to be his way of becoming famous. A lot of his values are, I feel like I call petty bourgeois. They aren't values that are really based in community, based on reality. They aren't really videos. This information really isn't based on anything but what society says is successful. You know, so that's a big problem that I find with Kevin Samuels. His rating system, physical, because I felt like the sister that he was rating as a 6, I thought she was closer to a 10 to me, but that's just me. You know, um, I also said that his positive, that a lot of times he does actually speak the truth. He will point out the hypocrisies and the contradiction of black women, to the point of um, he does that to the point of where the women actually agree with him on his points. And let me see. Hold on. Hey, Queen Valerie, a good subscriber. She says you have to go find God, go to God, and I've mentioned that as well. That at the end of the day, one of his shortcomings is I don't really see a spiritual base. I consider myself a follower of Christ, but following the footsteps of Christ. But I consider myself more spiritual than religious. But I feel that there has to be a spiritual undertone to any healthy relationship. Whether you use the Bible, whether you use the Quran, whether you use the Meta Netter, traditional African religion, you have to have a spiritual base. And I don't really see that in the things that he talks about. I find some of his stuff to be funny. I find some of the stuff I've gone through with some black women. So I find some of his stuff to be true. But so those are the positives. But at the end of the day, you don't take it's serious. I mean, it's entertainment. And spiritual is more important than being entertained. Spiritual is more important than monetary. And yeah, you know, so that's important. Yes, Miss Laker and Valerie both say, and I agree, that it has to be spiritual. Now, what does that mean? To me, spirituality means not just the Bible or the Quran, but actually realizing the God within, actually elevating yourself to your highest self in the relationships and in the relationship standards. You know, that recognizing that God or our higher spirit, they want the best for us, and that we have those qualities within us if we learn how to fight our ego. Ego means edging God out, earth God only. You know, so I agree with the sisters about spirituality, and yeah, the God within you is very, very important. And how can you rate somebody on how they look? A 6 to Kevin Samuels, um, you know, a Kevin Samuels calls a 6. I think is a 9 or 10. You know what I'm saying? And then, so I think, my pages, I guess, have more black women than anything else. I would say the quality of a man is important. Now, does he respect himself? Does he love himself? Does he love his mom and women around him? And does that, and even more important, does that love translate to his love of black women and respect for black women? I think when I see a black woman, I always see my mom. I always see what my mom went through, and I see what other black women have get through, and I just feel like black women deserve better from our black men. And what's inside of a man's heart has to come out in his character, has to come out in his actions. So, a lot of times women will choose um, a man based first on how he looks and his height and his money and his thug, quote unquote. Um, so, you got to really ask what is a quality black man, when he steps up to you. Okay, so I'm trying to read the comments as I go. So if you say you see no love in him, I could agree with that. I see some value in some of the things that he points out. But when you talk about love, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, because it's more about entertainment than anything else. Um, he speaks frank, and a lot of times we need people to speak frank and speak truth to us. But yeah, that's a good point. The love, love. Where is the love? When I listen to Iyanla Van Zant, I hear love coming out from her. When I listen to a Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's no longer here with us, I hear the love. When I listen to and read Raun Nefer, who's more of an Afrocentric writer, I feel the love of black people, the love of community, the love of humanity. So that's a very good point. So I would have to say that if you watch Kevin Samuels, just if it's about entertainment, let it be about entertainment, and you can take what you can take from that. You know, he has some things of value. I feel because I do feel that there are some hypocrisies in black women and definitely black men as well. And all that glitter ain't gold is a really good statement. All that glitters ain't gold. Let me tell you something about my stepfather before I go. My mom, my mom dated. Let me tell you about her dating. So she dated this guy who was a Black Panther. Actually, and this guy was like a father figure to me. He was a nephew of the great nephew of Malcolm X. He was raised by Malcolm X's sister Ella, and he taught me so much about our history, our culture. He taught me how to fight, how to box. He taught me how to read. But he was very political. This is in the 80s, early 80s. And maybe too political for my mom at that time, even though she was kind of political herself. Anyway, it didn't work out with them. So, after dating several men, my mom ended up with this man who drove up, quote unquote man. He had hazel eyes. He was nice looking. He was in shape. Um, he wasn't 6 feet tall or nothing like that, but he had a car. I'll never forget, a cream and gold Seville Cadillac. And you know what was on the license plate of that car? It said me number one. He also had a he also had a big screen TV. You remember those big screen TVs that weighed a ton? Not the ones you can put on the wall or the flat screen, but he had a big old TV. And my sister and my mom were impressed by this. And, but it's just, I'm still trying to figure this out. Um, when the movie, you remember that movie Color Purple came out? That movie Color Purple came out, I think 85, 86. This is a year after my mom got married. I think it was 86. My mom was calling him Mr. soon after that. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, like she saw the hypocrisies in the beginning, but he was able to provide a certain lifestyle. Um, okay, hold on. I'm trying to get back to the comment, Miss Lakers. Um, yeah, okay, that's what's up, Miss Lakers. Congratulations on 36 years of marriage. But a lot of times, women will fall for that. He's tall, he has money, he's a thug. And people, I think women choose the thug, the gangster, the bad boy thing because they always assume that there's going to be a wild sex or he's well endowed and all the rest of that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying sex isn't important. I'm not saying the physical isn't important. But I wrote a topic yesterday called, that it's time that we cancel the culture of fuck boys. Excuse my language. I know I'm probably not supposed to be cursing, but the FK boys, FUCK boys. And the reason why F boys are allowed to stay is because a lot of times their sex is good and or money is good. And this is a contradiction. A lot of times the women will allow these F boys to hang around because of that. Um, you know what I'm saying? So we got to get. I'm anti F boy, FUCK boy, and I wrote a book called Dating Games of Brother Speaks Up. If y'all want to hit me, I don't know if I can comment or not, but I'm gonna put in my I'll put it in the description and I'll put online um, my if you want to contact me directly. But yeah, I mean, we really gotta. What is a good man? I know that you watching this. I got 3 or 4 people watching this. I know y'all are women. You know what I'm saying? But understand, and I'm not coming down on black women in general, but I'm saying that you as women, not girls, not females, but women, a woman, womb man, I like to say. I need you guys to teach the younger girls or younger women coming up how it's not about anything else but him being a good man. A lot of women, as some of you may know, you end up choosing these men at a younger age. You end up being children's mothers than, you know, happy wives. So we got to really get to the young women. We also got to get to the young men. I'm down for that. They have to go through rites of passage. They need to be educated. We need relationship literacy. It's very, very important. So, again, I would say in summation, Kevin Samuels is entertainment. And a man with integrity, decency, faithfulness, loyalty is important. Character. I'm a poet, so I know how to say all the right things. But it's important that you don't fall for the finesse, ladies. He should say the right things and do the right things. And I believe this as well. The first time he calls you out your name, if he doesn't immediately correct himself and he continues to call you outside your name, the B word, the H word, that's it. You should go. Which kind of leads me to, I'm still going on, and I'm going to do a movie review of this. Has anyone seen, uh, yeah, exactly. Keep your legs closed because he ain't worth it if he ain't going to marry you. Thoughts and Thugs Truth. Let me ask you, sisters that are watching this, and I would recommend that you do this if you haven't. Have you seen the United States versus Billie Holiday? If you haven't, please do. Um, it's so important. That movie hits on so many things, and let me tell you something. I'm gonna critique you, women. If you watch that movie and you're not a Billie Holiday fan of her music, you don't know music. That's the one thing about the thing. I'm not gonna do the review yet, but here, the music is so beautiful, and Billie Holiday's life was so interesting. I won't give away the movie, but I just will say, um, she was raised in a whorehouse, and she had the whore early part of her life, and people know about her and the drugs. Um, but I don't know if they know about the abuse that she suffered. And when I watched that movie, I've only seen it once, but it's like replaying in my mind. I would say, oh, what's up, Yogi? I would say that movie, Billie Holiday versus the United States versus Billie Holiday, must see. It's on Hulu. Um, I didn't know. I'll give you a kind of funny aside. I got a bill from Hulu because I guess my I didn't have the funds or whatever. Um, but the bill was for like $11. So uh, I got it now. I got my YouTube. I felt YouTube television is better. But watch the movie, The United States versus Billie Holiday. Yes, it is a beautiful movie. The music is great. Billie Holiday's life and why she used and why the government targeted her and the racism. The whole thing is just it was it. And I'm gonna be doing a movie review on that. Um, also be doing a movie review on Coming to America, which I felt was very good. Also gonna be doing a movie review on Judas and the Black Messiah, and I've also been watching another one called Hip Hop Uncovered on Hulu as well. Um, but Billie Holiday's story is a story of a lot of black women. And it's important that you watch the movie and hopefully you become a fan. Um, I'm reading the comments. It was real. The movie was real. We need a movie coming to Africa. What's that? Yeah, I got cut off. Trying to look at all these messages. Okay. Anyway, so I would say if you're just now watching, go back and watch. Kevin Samuels is entertainment. He does speak some truth. He does point out some hypocrisies, but he's entertainment. My recommendation is to watch and read Iyanla Van Zant. Any book of hers is really good. Fix My Life is a good show. I would also recommend An Afrocentric Guide to a Spiritual Union, and also Ken Keyes' book Unconditional Love. Ken Keyes, Keyes. Um, he has another book called Handbook to Higher Consciousness, which is very good. Also, I didn't mention this before, but books like The Meter Netter, Metuneter by Araun Amenefer. I'm going to list all this in the description, or the community board, and also Unconditional Love by Ken Keyes. So I like to thank all of you that have watched. My page is not monetized. It will be monetized one day, so you'll see the little what do you call that? The little dollar sign that people want to send. So if you want to send and support what I'm trying to do, because the more support I do, the less I have to go out in the streets and hustle and work, and the more time I can commit to this, because I have a lot of things to share with you. I'm an activist. I'm an organizer. I'm a relationship consultant myself. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I'm helping a black family right now, a single mom, and I'm trying to expand that to support other single moms. So I'm doing a lot of things, and also I'm a victim of, I had big house fires, so still trying to find permanent housing. So I got a lot going on, need support, but the main thing is that you keep watching and that you help me build this channel and help me build this space. And like I said, on Tuesday I'm going to do a video about Tiny and Ti. Thank you for the kind words, Miss Lakers, Queen Valerie, everyone that's watched, Shay. And also, I'm going to be doing movie reviews on Coming to America, which I thought was excellent. Reviewed Judas and the Black Messiah and Billie Holiday. There's also another film that's out that I just can't think of right now. But there's a series called docu-series on Hulu, and I would recommend Hulu because they had good stuff on there. It's called Hip Hop Uncovered. You may think you know hip hop, and you probably do, or maybe you do, maybe you don't. But what's behind the scenes of hip hop and how it really got started is on Hip Hop Uncovered. And the good thing about all of these films that I mentioned, obviously the people that have written these films or have directed these films or produced these films are all black, and they're speaking from the black experience, which is good, telling their own stories. Um, and okay, and brother Yogi, I'll be talking to you soon. Been trying to, I think I did reach out to you, and okay, Miss Lakers, you're a poet as well and a lawyer. Cool. Um, Thank you, Queen Valerie. Thank you, Miss Lakers. Thank you, Shay. I would definitely say go back and watch the rest of the video still, because the algorithm of YouTube is the more you watch, the more that the content is put out there, and also the algorithm of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It always leans more towards the negative, because negative sells. Like if I were to talk about negativity, I would have way more followers. If I was to talk about gossip, I would have way more followers. Um, and even though I will be talking about Tiny and Ti and other celebrities, it's not going to be in a gossipy way. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned for that. Again, help me build this channel. I'm on over 1,900. I'll be at 2,000. I only really started probably really hardcore October of last year. So I think I'm doing pretty good in terms of count. But just help me build it. Um, Check the descriptions and check my community board within the next 15 minutes or so for those that want to contact me directly or support me. And, you know, I definitely appreciate it. Anyway, I love you guys. Please like, share, subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. I love y'all. Peace.